we're back with the new season of Fortnite, which introduced the new orbit camera, which unironically allows us to create a first-person device. And in this video, I'm obviously going to show you guys how you can set up the first-person mode correctly, what you can do with it, what you cannot do. And trust me, it is so much better than the things we had before. So without further ado, let's jump right into it. So let's get right into it. The first thing you obviously need is the new orbit camera device. You can find this one if you go into your normal island settings and then you look for, first of all, you go into content, then you go devices, and you should be greeted with a new this season or like recently added, and then you find the orbit camera. You can also type it up in here. Camera orbit is the one that we're looking for. And if you place it down, it will look something like this. You can see this is the camera that we have to manipulate to our player here. Going into this device, you will grid with the basics option first, go to the advanced one. Same in UFN, open up the advanced ones if you don't have it already. And the first thing we need to change is the FOV. Obviously, the more FOV, the better it will look. So we're going to change it up to the maximum 120, crank that up. The next few things we can skip here. Now it comes the most important part of all. Like, this is super important and you have to get that right, and you can play around with these if you don't like my settings, but you should somewhat make this the same as I have. So distance should be 0. This will basically place the camera right in the middle of the character, and then we have to offset it a little bit. So distance 0, offset X to 30. You can play around with that, but 30 should be a fine number. Offset Y to 0, and the offset Z can be somewhere between 75 and 80 is fine. So I have it to 78. Now comes the super important stuff. This will actually make the first person work properly, and that is the horizontal speed. Crank that up to 1000, by default this is 10 or something. So make sure this is the maximum you can get. Vertical speed doesn't matter too much. I haven't found any like huge differences, but I cranked it up as well. And after that, there's one last setting which you can change. This is a little bit more like a safety guard. You can see if I leave this off here, so let's turn this off for example, your player can basically look as far as they want. So they can crank up completely in the sky, but they can also look down completely. And like you can see that you kind of glitch into your character if you do that. So a little safeguard that you can add, but you don't have to, is adding a vertical clamp. So go here and set this to like 65, minus 65 and 65 should be fine. I think the upper one can be set to the maximum. It doesn't really matter too much, but the lower one should be like somewhere on the 60 area. Possible, you can clamp it, but you don't have to. It's not a must thing to do. So now your camera should look something like this, and you can already properly use it. By default, this camera will be turned on. If you don't want that for some reason, then you can turn this off here. And then you can add it in these options here with the add to player or add to all players. So if you want everybody get this camera at the same time, you do an add to all. And if you want only one player to have it or a player interacting with something, then you do an add to player. Or same thing with the remove and remove all. So it's fairly simple. All right, so let's give you guys a quick example how you can add this if you don't want it immediately on game start. So we are now in UFN. Doesn't matter, same settings, same thing, works everything in both Creative 1.0 and UFN. So make sure that the add to player start is unchecked. Then we're going to look for a trigger device. This is also available on 1.0, so don't worry. You just search in the normal creative devices. And then what we can basically just do is link these two together. So go here, add to player, select this little thing, and go on the trigger device. And now when we step on this, we will have the camera applied. Okay, so now you can see in game we are in the, all right, so now you can see we are in game, we are in the normal third person camera. I'm gonna pick up a gun quickly here. And if we now step on the trigger device, we are going into first person and we have the first person mode enabled. So this is obviously the furthest we are with being in first person. As you can see, it looks really good. You can build it, the building feels kind of really cool actually. Like the building actually makes a lot of fun. All right, so this works flawlessly with almost every gun. Obviously, a few guns will look a little bit weird, and depending if they have like a weird like hand position or something, then they will look a little bit off. The one thing which doesn't really work at all is if you have any scoped guns. And that was a huge thing in the 1.0 area. As you might see, the snipers do not really work that well. I cannot zoom in. I'm clicking the mouse button right here. It doesn't work. You cannot zoom in, and sometimes like on like weapons like this, you can see that the crosshair is a little bit off. So I would recommend not trying to use scope weapons, or like let your players know that they cannot use scope weapons. But anything other than that works pretty fine. The darts kind of look pretty cool, not gonna lie. Even the grappling works a little bit. You can see that you still go off into like third person. But other than that, rocket launchers work fine. Like everything works exceptionally well, which I was super surprised. The only thing is really the snipers that do not make, you know, too much sense here. You obviously will still have that little head like into your body. Like if you like run and scroll down, like that is not really avoidable. But other than that, that's it for this video. Hopefully you enjoyed this one. Leave a like if you have any questions, leave them in the comments down below. I will see you guys back in the next one. Bye.